Welcome to Between the Poles, the podcast where we dive deep into the heart of the pole community. I'm your host, Caroline. Here, it's not just about the tricks and the spin, it's about the stories, the people, and the connection that make our community so special. Every episode, we sit down with pole artists, studio owners, and inspiring members of the community to talk about their journeys, challenges, and passions. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's get real. This is Between the Poles. Hi, Jax. Welcome to Between the Pole. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. I feel like we have a lot to discuss today. Um, yeah, let's get kind of right into it. I've been starting these episodes the same way for everybody, just so as our listeners and our viewers can kind of know you a little bit better and know like your background and all of that. So, can you tell us a little bit? How did you find pole? How did you get into it? And yeah, all of that good stuff kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. So I started as a sex worker, stripper in 2007. So June of 2007. So don't count how long that is. That's a really long time now. But I had left a pretty abysmal relationship. I was starting out new, and I had had a girlfriend who told me that she used to be a dancer, so she kind of gave me some ins and outs. And I was like, "Ooh, that sounds really fun! Like cash money, guys tell you you're pretty." She's like, "No, oh my God, don't ever do it. It's terrible." And I've seen what they do to the girls, and I was like, "Oh." Okay, I'm gonna do it anyways, but I'm not gonna tell you. So I started in a strip club and I'm completely self-taught. I would go in early during like happy hour and I would stay late after hours, usually when I was more intoxicated. Don't do that. And I would just play around on the poles. And as I continued my dance career, I would go to different places, different clubs, and then other girls would see me and they're like, "Oh my God, like you look different, you look beautiful, you look strong. I see you on stage, you're doing all these crazy tricks. Like, what do you do? What's your secret?" I'm like, I eat Waffle House every night, and really bad food, but I dance, 5 nights a week, and I just really like this pole thing, and I like tricks, and it's super fun. And that grew into the girls going, "Oh my God, show me, teach me, I'll pay you." And I'm like, "Oh, there's something to be had here." So I started my business just in my apartment because I got a poll from Carol Helms's website and I started teaching. And then that snowballed into, if I build it, they might come. So I made a brick and mortar in 2014 and we already had our 10-year anniversary now. Math. It's a very long time. And here we are now. I get to talk to you.
That's amazing. I didn't realize, and once again, like if you've been listening to the episode for the viewers, for the listeners, all that, I say this every episode because we always only see kind of where people are at now, right? I would have never guessed that you've started so long ago. And that's what I keep telling like students and people like commenting and stuff. I'm like, yeah, you see like a finished product and you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to achieve that. But like, how many years of dedication has this person put behind the scene, right? Before where they're at now. And then I have 101 questions on your story. I love it. Okay. I
That
guess first
that was the
question.
smallest nutshell I could give you.
No, and I love it. And then I'm just that person who's like, hold on, I want to know like more details about like this and that. So you said that you started as a sex worker and in the club. How did that kind of journey start from you from like the first time you went on to kind of like I'm not even sure how to ask that. Like you said like you self-taught after that. What aspect of it did you want to self-teach? How was that? And how did you feel that you progressed in self-teaching? Also in 2007, Instagram wasn't what it is now, and poll wasn't what
Nope.
it was now, right? It's getting more and more mainstream, but it really wasn't that much back then. So where did you learn? Because a lot of us now like look on Instagram and right, there's tutorials and stuff like that. How did you do it back in the day?
Yes, I am a dinosaur, essentially. This was before Instagram, TikTok, even really YouTube. On YouTube, there were four tutorials of Miss Carol Helms, who I adore as a performer, teacher, and now friend, surprisingly now in this career full circle. But one of her videos was beginner, and then the other two were like intermediate and advanced. I was like, well, I can't even climb. I don't know how to do that. But I would watch her videos and draw stick figures on pieces of paper. And then I would go to the club and say the name and like right hand high and like twisted grip or put legs in an X motion to climb. And so I'm at the club at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday going, what did I scribble on this piece of paper? And I don't even know what I'm looking at. And I'm trying to remember all the videos I watched because there weren't too many. But it really started with floor work and just low flow, I guess you would call it, because it was dips and pirouettes and spins and body rolls and things like that. And I didn't know how to dance. I didn't have a background. I showed up in fishnets and a mini skirt and I was like, I don't know, put me on stage. And they were like, go ahead. And I was like, oh, what? Oh, God. So I didn't have any strength. I didn't have any background. I didn't know what I was doing. The first time I tried to invert was in front of a full club and I missed. And someone gave me $1 because they were like, oh, honey. I'm like, oh, $50, thanks. So yeah, it progressed with trial and error. And I hate trial and error, especially when it comes to technology. Like if something's not working, I'm like, ah, why you no work? But pole was completely different because it was so exploratory and so unique. And I did what felt good. I did what felt right. I would revisit things, and if I got a little stronger or more fluid or something, or more flexible, I would just go back and try it. And I'm like, oh, this looks better than it did. It's really cool. So, and customers at the club don't know what I'm doing. They don't know a jade split from a pirouette. So I was only impressing myself because you're there all night and you're bored and it's just you and the other girls who are like passing $1 around. What else are you gonna do? Practice. So yeah.
I also want to ask you, and I'm not sure if you'll remember this or not, because I kind of tell this to a lot of students that because I'm a pole studio owner, and I tell this to a lot of students that are beginner, because you really went from like 0 to 100, because you said like at that point you were like going 5 nights a week, and then like those are long shifts, and a lot of people don't like realize how long you're there for and how much energy goes into that. How did your body react? How were you able to kind of keep up with it? Because I remember myself as a beginner, like I fell in love with pole, and then I was like, I need to go to the studio like every other day, if not every day. And I would have these massive calluses that would just bleed. And I'm like, how did you go from like 0 to 100? And also like, okay, answer that and then I'll ask another question.
Okay, put a pin in that. It helped I was in my 20s, I guess. But I was covered in bruises. My knees. Oh, my knees. Because I did floor work. I couldn't climb to the top of the pole for 2 years. So it was a lot of flow and trying to find my style first and spins. And I learned how to do a split the completely wrong way because I would just do a chair spin. And every time I would land, I would just land a little bit further. So I would like push down on it. I'm like, oh, too much. Don't do that. Until when I just hit the ground in a split, my friend was like, you can do a split. And I was like, I guess I can. And then I remember I went to a workshop, I think it was at PoleCon or something, and they were like, "Okay, now do your other side." And I was like, Huh? What do you mean other side? No one told me to do another side for the past like 8 years." So definitely a learning curve, definitely a lot of do as I say, not as I do in these days in this context now. But I guess when I was first there, I mean, being intoxicated all shift helped. And so I would wake up the next morning and I'd rip open my covers and see like my legs just covered in bruises and I would poke them because you gotta poke them. And I'd be like, oh my God, I bet this was from when I climbed and this is when I did that thing from the inside leg hang. And my shoulders were bruised from trying to figure out shoulder mounts, but I would just slide down. I'm like, now I'm doing floor work. Woo! So it was a lot of trial and error, and I beat my body up, but I was having too much fun to care.
And then I feel like you touched up a little bit on it. And then once again, for viewers and listeners that have been tuning in kind of week by week, I feel when I ask this to a guest instructor, like on here, it goes two ways. And I have a feeling that you're going to be on the first side where I was at. You said like you didn't really have any body strength, right? So, one, did you have any like sports background that helped you out? And then two, how fast or slow did you feel you progressed in your pole? Because some people come on here and they're like professional cheerleaders and gymnasts, and they're like, oh, I inverted class one. But I tried to tell people, like, that's not everybody. And I'm like, which camp were you in?
Mm. Oh no, my joke is I was a really good surfer, couch surfer, because all I did was watch TV. I was in like tap, jazz, and ballet when I was like 3. I do not count that because I just wanted to play with my tutu and be on my point shoes. I had no experience. I had no strength. I was also a lot heavier. I was over 200 pounds when I first started. So I had thick thighs, which was great for sits. That hurt, but it took a long time. I remember trying to do just like a split grip bracket or climb, and that took a year before I understood the mechanics because nobody tells you what muscle groups to work. Nobody tells you how to stretch. No one tells you how to condition or train. No one tells you to do the other side. So it was, again, watch a video, try it, can't do it now. And then I would go back to my notes like 3, 6 months later, I'd try it again and I might be better, I might not be. But the repetition of practicing every night, that really helped for sure. So no, no strength. I am a very real living story that if I can do it, everyone can do it.
I like that. And I try to tell that to people too, because I also started pull over 200 pounds. So what I can do now compared to then is completely different. And there was nothing wrong with me back then. And I feel pull gave me some confidence back then that I needed. But I also kind of wanted to ask you if progress was slow, right? Because in my case as well, progress was slow. Why did you keep coming back to pull?
Well, because I was at the club money, because that was my job at the time. I always had a day job that had like a W-2 and a guaranteed paycheck. So this was my fun money and my like extra money so I could pay things off with or just, little YOLO, little treat yourself or something. But I also liked that in the pole world, like I liked the club and stuff as at least for the first couple of years, and then I retired. But I also liked that progress was obtainable and pretty quickly. Even just a pirouette. Say there's a million ways to do a pirouette, a million ways that you can do your hands, but it would feel so much easier just after a couple of days or a couple of nights of working. And maybe then I could do something with the leg and zhuzh it up a bit, or that I could flip my hair with my hand and then do a direction change. And so progress to like in that sense seemed more obtainable. I wasn't flipping upside down. I wasn't doing jade splits. I wasn't handspringing. That took years. And I was also scared because I'm tall and I'm in heels and I'm 6'5" in heels. And that's a long way down for my head to go. So I was okay building and taking it slow, but it was also obtainable, little wins periodically. Oh, I got a little bit higher. Oh, I climbed a little bit higher. I was a little bit smoother in this transition. And other girls would be like, wow, you're so smooth. You're so fluid. I thought you said you've never done this before. And customers are giving me money because they're like, you're a good dancer. And I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. You want to go to the back room? Let's go. So little wins was really helpful, but I didn't have a class. I didn't have a community except the other girls at the club. So it wasn't a teacher who showed me. It was uh, obtainable self progress, and it was enjoyable at the time. So yeah.
And then I'd love to touch up a little bit on the transition because you said at some point you're like, oh, you retired from dancing at the club and then you took it to a brick and mortar. When did that happen? What was the thought process like behind that? And how do you feel that went?
Yeah, so like I said, I danced in the club for a couple years. That was 2007. Around 2009 is when I started to bounce to different clubs, and that's when the girls would be like, "Oh my God, like show me, I'll pay you." And I'm like, "Well, not certified. I don't know what I'm doing, but if you want to come to my house, I have a pole that I've been practicing on, and I'll show you the stepping stones essentially that I did, which was dips, pirouettes, fireman spins, a very basic climb to pull up, prepping split grips and things like that for conditioning. So it was all very winging it harder than my eyeliner, essentially. And about 2012, I was like starting to get out of the club, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like the scene. I don't like men. I don't like the men at the club. Essentially, my other sex worker girls are like, we don't either. But I was like, I'm really busy teaching out of my apartment. And I was just doing private one on one lessons. And I remember having a conversation with a student, and I saw some like dentist office was opening and it said accepting new clients. And I was like, why would you not want to ever accept new clients? That seems very silly in a business sense. And then I remember shortly after that, someone messaged me on Facebook and they're like, oh, I saw your ad. I saw you're teaching pole classes, private lessons. I want to get in. When's your next availability? And it was like February. I was like, April. And they're like, what? I was like, oh, I'm busy. There's a demand for this. There's nothing like this around my area. I should really tap into that. And then I took a dive more so into finding a business partner and getting a loan and scouting a location. And I have been to a couple other studios, like I got my certification at a studio. I tried to go to some that were in the area that have since closed down for X, Y, and Z reason. And I was like, I know things that I would want from it. I want tall poles for competition. I want a lobby so there's privacy, and I want merchandise. I want storefront. So I knew what I wanted. And then I just manifested it. And here we are. So 2014, I opened my brick and mortar.
And you still own that same studio. That
Same location. We're about to have our 11-year anniversary. Yeah.
is really, really impressive because you know what? I'm going off the deep end here, and maybe this is going to be niche for some of our viewers and our listeners, but I'm also a pole owner. I own a pole studio, pardon me. And I've seen this motto a lot on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and maybe you will agree, maybe you will disagree, that a lot of people open a pole studio for the love of pole, not for the love of business. And that's why a lot of pole studios aren't um maintainable, and a lot of pole studio kind of close and open back up there and closes. 10-year and more in as a business owner is amazing. For anybody who does own a pole studio, what do you feel made a difference in your business journey? Like, what do you feel like were really good advice you would give to people that are in the business?
Yeah. Thank you. For one, the idea of it was I was a dog trainer at one point at PetSmart. So I went from puppies to pole dancers. I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I just didn't know what my demographic was yet. But the schedule that we had to keep was come every week at the same time, same class. So like my puppy play date or puppy 101 was like every Tuesday at 6. And so many people were like, I can't commit weekly. Like my schedule changes. So when I opened my studio, I'm like, I don't want to do series classes. I'd rather it be block style, and it can be drop in. We'll have packages, we'll have memberships, we'll have a lot of options for people to come pay to play, essentially. And I just made classes that I thought made sense. If you want to do a tricks class, we have a tricks class. You want to do a stretch class, we have a stretch class. You want to do a conditioning class, we have a conditioning class. We have things off the pole, like chair and floor work that will help build those. But maybe you're not jiving with pole dance because I am in Greenville, South Carolina. So I wasn't exactly sure of what my demographic might be when I opened in the buckle of the Bible Belt. So I was like, maybe if we get them in with a chair dance or something, they'll warm up to it. And they did. But I just do things that I would want as a student. Like, we don't have contracts. We have a street team with incentives to spread the word. And then the community and the word of mouth and the students that we have, that's what makes the business. Nothing, I want to say anything I did, nothing I have done has actually helped. I just make events, we do community building, we do charity work, and people want to come hang out with us. And they like my staff, they like my teachers, they like the schedule I create. So I'm just going to keep rolling with it. I listen to feedback, but for the most part, it's just been working.
But you have to have kind of the entrepreneurial mindset, right? You've been in business now more than a decade. There's a love of pull
Mhm.
because this sounds like a lot. I don't want to age you, but like almost 2 decades polling, a
Yeah.
decade of being a business owner. Do you feel
Mhm.
like you love pull as much as you love business? Do you love business more than you love pull? Do you know what I mean?
Ooh, good question. No, I don't love business. I happen to be good at it most of the time. And if I suck at it sometimes, I have resources that I can call to. I have people in the industry, I have friends, I have a business partner, I listen to my students, I listen to my mom if she has something to say. I have people in this community now, like I've had some big questions that I've asked, like Colleen Jolly, who runs PoleCon, about. I'm like, hey, can I bounce this off of you? She has the IPIA, there's resources there. So there's definitely like a group effort when it's not just me. But a lot of the times, the things I come up with are shower thoughts or just grand ideas while I'm driving, listening to music. I'm like, oh, we should have a showcase that does this. Oh, we should do an event that does this, and then we can give back to a charity group here. And my students are like, yeah, let's do it. I'm also very much a quote unquote yes man, in the sense that if you have an idea, the worst that'll happen is it sucks and we don't do it again and we learn from it. So anything we can try at least once, as long as it's safe and within our core values, throw it on the schedule. Let's make an event. Let's try this marketing strategy. If it doesn't work, we just won't continue it. So a lot of trial and error. I still love pole. That's my still number one passion. And Lear is my mistress, don't tell her. But I never thought I would do the business side. And I thought I had a business partner to help with all that, but then I took on 90% of that, and he's just like the final boss or the final say so. Or if I'm like, I don't know, I gotta ask the big guy, then I can call him in. But it all just kind of went hand in hand. But I've always made my own schedule. I did my thing as a dancer. I always went against the grain in school. Obviously, like for those of you watching on YouTube, look at me. I am not a normal person. I have purple hair and drawn on eyebrows like a drag queen. So I never followed the rules. So this trajectory kind of just makes sense to me, at least.
I I like it. I really like it. And I feel like I'm really enjoying filming this podcast as the host because I get to ask questions that I really just want to hear the answer to. Because my studio is now 18 months. And then we're doing well, right? But like I know how hard it can be. And yeah, I love hearing different people's advice, what worked for them, what didn't. I'm gonna give you whiplash because I want to go back to your origin story. Because you said like, oh, you know what? I didn't really enjoy the men in the club. I hear that a lot from different people, right? How do you feel that the pole community react to you? Because I also feel like I feel it's getting better. And then this is maybe me living in a bubble, but I feel there's kind of like people that are super welcoming of anybody's background, anybody. And then I feel there's this kind of rift lately happening between people
Mm.
that started as pole fitness and are really pushing that,
Mhm.
and then dancers that are trying to also like really value the origin of pole as a sport. How do
Mhm.
you feel that transition went? Did you feel like the pole sport community reacted kindly to you? And how do you feel right now in all of that?
Yeah, so I I've been around, right? I've been around the block a couple times. I think when I personally came, like when I finally made an Instagram and caught up with the times, essentially either people didn't realize my background of a sex worker or stripper, or when I told them, they were like, "Oh, that makes sense with how you move or how you dance or connect to the audience or camera." But I personally never got any shame or judgment. When I first opened my studio, I was a lot more hush hush secret about it because I'm like, I don't want to make anyone upset. I don't want to cause any tensions. I'm just trying to have a business here and share my love for this art form. And we did get a lot of people who were the sport people, or just hobbyists, quote unquote. I know that's like a term getting more canceled now. I can't keep up. There's a lot happening. I also remember I ran the Facebook groups, You're a Polar When, and we had I think 35,000 people in it at one point. And I remember the memes coming up of like, "Oh, just because I do this doesn't mean I'm a stripper." I'm like, "What's wrong with that? It's where it came from. You need to respect the roots." I don't care what you do with it. I don't care if it goes to the Olympics. I don't care if you're barefoot doing flick flacks and triple fongies. That there's enough space for everyone here. I'm going to be inclusive. Am I gonna do it? No. That's not how I dance. That's not my style. But as long as you can pay respect to where it came from, that's all I care about. And if you can't do that, I probably just won't associate myself with you because we don't have the same ideology. But there's enough in this Venn diagram of pole and ballet and roller skates and lollipop and sport and art and sultry. Like there's a room for everybody, literally everybody, but you just got to pay respect, man. That's all. Just pay your dues.
I love that. I actually, yeah, that's a really, really good way to go about it. Um, and because you touched up a little bit that you had that Facebook group too, and then you said like, oh, finally I went with the times and I got Instagram. You have quite a following on Instagram nowadays. When did you actually get Instagram? What did you start posting? And then to kind of where you're at now. Do you want to touch up a little bit on that?
Yeah, Instagram. I remember having like Vine, and I was like, that's a fun thing. It'll go away. And it did, sadly. And then Instagram came out, and I ended up getting it. God, wow. When was that? 2009, 10, 12. I honestly don't know. And I just posted pictures of my dogs, like dogs and cats and selfies and heavily filtered things. I think I did like I posted my jade or something, and people didn't know how to use hashtags, and this was before videos. So that was also a learning curve. I didn't have except friends follow me. And I remember, like, even today, what do we tell our students? Oh, record your videos, track it for progress. You can go back and look at your videos and see what you're doing right or wrong, or what your wrist is doing, what your head is doing, if your shoulders are engaged, what your flow looks like. I never thought to record myself because my phone didn't have a video on it when I started. We had to use like tripods and like handheld camcorders, and I wasn't gonna do all that. And one of my students at one point, she's like, "I'm gonna record it." I'm like, "Really good idea." I never did. I would take pictures or stills. And so my following took a very long time. It probably wasn't until I actually started my studio that I was like, I should promote my studio. And then I made a Instagram page for the Pole Academy in 2014. And so I had probably had my personal Instagram for like 2 years, and I would just thought to post a split or a butterfly, and it got 2 likes. So now I post more content, and I have, if you look on my Instagram, I have a very formatted main grid. It's a video, like a tutorial or something, a picture, and then like an announcement, or like where in the world is Jax, what's happening. And that's for my brain because I can't keep up. No one runs my social media except me. No one runs my business's social media except me. So I needed to filter a way to be like, what do I post next? Oh my God. And so I would post those in line. And the tutorials and the videos get way more views and likes and reshares, but I can't post videos every day and edit them and stuff. That's just too much time. I have to go teach. I have to clean rags. I have to make a schedule. I have to do admin stuff.
People, I feel, also underestimate the time it takes to do admin stuff. I feel I underestimated how long I would spend doing admin stuff. Because, oh, once
Hmm.
again, this is kind of the backstage of what goes on in the pole world a little bit. But when you own a pole studio, you think like when I started, I was like really naive, and I'm like, I'm just gonna be able to do it all the time. I'm gonna get amazing because I'll just be like teaching and pulling for myself. I almost never pull for myself. I have so much stuff to get done for this to happen, and I love when other
Hmm.
owners like say this. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. Just the background, the admin, the questions, the emails, and there's just so much, right? Like business pay taxes, you need permits, you need to like there's just so much in the background that comes for you to even just open up the like yeah, I love that you say that because I feel not that it's a not that we're gatekeeping, but I feel like a lot of students are just like, oh, they must just like they rock up to the poll shoot whenever they want and they just like fly. No, that's not how it works.
Nope, just because I have a key to the studio doesn't mean I'm training. I rarely I don't remember last time I trained for myself or looked at all the hundreds of saved videos on Instagram that I have not opened or touched. I might throw some heels on and dance here or there, but no, it's because I have to change a filter in the water, or the bathroom has a leak and I have to go inspect it, and payroll needs to be done. I'm not there because I get to play or something, and I have a pole here in my room and I use it to stretch more than anything because I'm so tired all the time. So yeah, that is the ugly side of the business world is people don't realize how much admin and janitorial and stuff goes on behind the scenes. They're like, "Oh, you just show up." No, my students see it because they're like, "You've been here since, 12 hours or something. You got here at 9:30. You're going to be here until 9:30. You're teaching half the classes. I saw you cleaning." They'll go in for a class and come out and they're like, "Oh my God, the whole studio is like sparkling." I'm like, "Mm-hmm. While you were in class, I was scrubbing." Yeah. When do you think I do that? 10 o'clock at night? Yes, sometimes.
Love that because I I teach, and then one day a student came in for my first class and went to their home, came back for my last class, and then and then she went like, "This is a long day for you. You're still here." Like went home,
Hmm.
had relaxed, watched a show, and then came back, and I was still teaching. Right? And I'm
Yep.
like, yeah, that's my work day. Like this is the day where I'm like teaching pole, and then tomorrow's admin day. So tomorrow I'm gonna be back, just like you said, like just cleaning, doing stuff, payroll, schedules, like getting back to whomever needs anything from me. And there's always questions, right? Like there's a lot of people that run through like
Mhm.
post like students have questions for this. Oh, this didn't work. Can you fix that? And yep, trying to get to all of it.
Yep.
Really gonna give you whiplash here. I'm sorry, but
That's fine.
'cause we talked a lot about your pole studio because you're an amazing business owner. Clearly, it's working for you, but you own more than that, right? Because you have quite a strong brand and you offer workshops and all of that. Could you touch up a little bit on how those came about? What kind of workshops do you offer? And then, yeah, let's just start like touching a little bit about that because you do really well at branding yourself, and I'd love to hear more about it.
Thank you. And you can give me whiplash as much as you want. I'm a metalhead, so I headbang all the time. So my neck is good. But yeah, I do a lot. Yeah, I'm busy. Like I just want to keep adding to my plate. I don't know how to say no. Sometimes that's what therapy is for. And she's like, "What are your boundaries?" I'm like, "What are those?" So learning curve again. But no, I have my hands in lots of pots. So my biggest focus is yes, my studio, the Pole Academy. I also I'm part of the travel team for PSO, so I get to go to events. I was front of house. They're reworking some things. I guess by the time this comes out, this will be more prevalent now, but they're going to have a head judge as well. And I've been judging with them since 2016, 17, I think, coaching unicorn status. So I'm going to take on a head judge role to help with competitions. I do try to market myself. I'm like, hi, I can come to your studio and teach. So I do workshops. I do on the pole, off the pole, conditioning. I have some specialty ones like shoulder shiz, which is like shoulder stands and rolls, intro to inverting, essentially. I have like my signature tricks and twisted things because I like twisty, bendy, and splitty moves. I have my back to basics, which is kind of what also set going back. I'll give you whiplash. Ooh, going back to your question about Instagram is my hashtag back to basics with Jax. And it's very much for like beginner, like low beginner, high beginner. Like I can do a dip. And here's a tutorial of like 4 different ways to do a dip and zhuzh it up and make it fun or something. So I really like the beginners and people on like their pole journey that are kind of newer. Intermediate is like a hard special place in my heart, but I can do advanced stuff. But when people are like, I want an advanced polar because I want an instructor to help me with Rainbow or Marchenko or something, I'm like, I can teach that too, but I'm not demonstrating it. I can't grab my leg over my head like that, but I can help you and coach you to get into it if we do a private or like my advanced classes. So I do a little bit of everything.
But I guess why create special workshops? Because you were already teaching at your studio, right? Which, like we agreed on, takes a lot of time. Then why kind of where did the idea of like special workshops come from? And when did you start like kind of marketing those? Because now we can book you, like different pole studio can book you, and then you have to take time off of your studio to come here. So what was the draw in like creating those?
Yeah. Well, one, I'm able to leave periodically for short times because I have an amazing staff and team of instructors and a studio manager that I can be like, here's when I'm gone, here's when we'll need coverage. I'll still have my phone on me. Don't let anybody die. And they're like, got it, bye, have fun. We'll see you when you get back. But part of it was people either reaching out online and they're like, oh my God, I would love to take a class with you. I love how you move. I love how you instruct. Your combos look so fun. And they're either going to do like a private online, which is great because I do those as well, or they're like, I wish we had someone like you at my studio, someone who could teach like you, who looks like you, because I'm not a skinny tiny person. And they're like, we want to see that inclusivity, we want to see that type of demographic, we want to see that representation here. Or they think I'm just silly and funny and they're like, we love your personality, we want to work with you, we like how you break things down or how you explain things. So I guess I just don't want to gatekeep myself. And I always told myself I wanted to have a job that would allow me to travel. And I can't be a flight attendant because I have hand tattoos. So that went out the window. So I was like, well, what can I do that I love, pole, that I can share with others, pole, and they might pay me and I can go travel at the same time. And pole is just the answer. So it's been really lucky. I feel very blessed and grateful that people invite me into their spaces and I get to teach workshops in people's studios or at PoleCon, and I get to go to these places and then spend extra time in this like cities or states I'm in just to explore and meet new people. And I just love teaching. I always, like I said, wanted to be a teacher, and puppies were great, but pole dancers are super awesome.
I I do also really enjoy teaching. Of anything I do, teaching, I really, and I think just like you, like intermediate really holds a special place in my heart. I've slowly like given up teaching like harder stuff because like I'm not an amazing puller. You know what I've opened a pull studio because I wanted to be able to pull year round. I want people to be able. I'm like crazy kids can do crazy things. I really enjoy teaching my beginner class, my intermediate classes. Like that's what I want. I was also
Mhm.
gonna ask because you said like, yeah, you maybe look different to a lot of what we kind of see online, right? And I hate that a lot of what we see online is always the same kind of typical body or the same like aesthetic. I really enjoyed, I creeped your Instagram, obviously, before this. I really
A good
enjoy that
researcher.
creepy if it's for research. I really enjoy that you have a quirky side and an edgier side. And do you feel like that and just being 100% you helped you and helped people feel more comfortable within their own skin?
I think just being authentic. I I couldn't try to be someone else if I wanted to. I couldn't change my accent, my hair, my tattoos, my personality if I wanted to because I'm gonna start meowing in the middle of class. And if you meow with me, great. But I'll be in class and make the weirdest noises or a silly joke, and half the class is looking at me like, "Oh my god, she's so stupid. Oh my god, she's hilarious." And then other people will laugh, and I'm like, "Thank you for laughing." I want to ease people into it. I hope they like my personality, and I always think it's really funny when I have, like, an intro class or a Pole 101, like, beginner people, and they haven't met me yet, and I come in and they're like, "Oh my god, she's, like, almost 6 foot tall and covered in tattoos, and she looks really scary," and I'm just like, "Hi, guys," and they're like, "What is happening?" And they'll crack jokes and, like, start when I'm like, meow for this grip or something. And they're like, is she meowing? She's meowing. She's on. That's hilarious. It's, so it seems really natural. And in turn, people seem to gravitate towards me. So that's a win. And I'm like, oh, I'm just an only child and just kind of awkward. And I'm so glad that y'all are in my space and wanting to be near me and share this very silly moment with me. And I'm always photo bombing students' videos and twerking in them and like dropping my hair in front of their camera. And they're like, oh, Mom, stop it. You're so silly. And I'm like, so the energy is a little too much for some people sometimes. And I will also have my quiet moments. But when I'm like in instructor mode, I'm very silly. I'm very goofy. So I'm just very blessed that people want to interact with that. But I think it does put people at ease as well that I'm not strict and I don't have like super resting bitch face and I'm not so scary when they talk. Even the warm ups will be like an In This Moment song and then a Britney Spears song. And they're like, who? What is wrong with her?
Yeah, I love it. And I find kind of the same a little bit. Like as an instructor, I really enjoy showing my quirkiness a little bit. And as a student, and I say this to a lot of people, and I think you're gonna agree. As a student, I want to go to class. I want to be entertained as like I want you to be you. I want to feel like you're having a good time and then I'm gonna have a good time. And it's that like nice balance of like I want you to be like mean with me, but mean in like a funny way. Like I want you to push me a little bit, but not like you know what I mean? Just like if you're pulling for a while, you kind of like the pain a little bit. You kind of like getting a hard time. Like that's why you're here. And I want
Yeah.
to hear that kind of has that thing too, or like super fun,
Yeah.
but also here's a heck of a workout.
Yeah, I think the energy you put out is definitely the energy you will receive. And if it's not the energy, maybe it's someone else's energy. Maybe you jive more with one of my other instructors or your personalities match better. But if not, we're still all here for the same reason. So if I can make you laugh, if you're coming in, because this is your therapole. Like that's what we say at my studio. It's therapole. This is your time to get away from the outside world, to leave all your cares and stresses behind. You had a bad day at work, you're going through a bad breakup, you having a day, and if you can come into my space or come near me and I can give you a hug or make you smile and that your day is better because you were in class, and whether you achieve the trick or not, you were with people that care about you and they're cheering you on because you just showed up. That's a good day in my book, and I got to be a part of that. So I'm happy.
And this is more like a general question, but I do really enjoy hearing different people's answer to this. Do you have advice that you would give students that you really love giving? Or have you ever gotten advice that you're like, yeah, that really stuck with me and that really made a difference in my whole journey?
That's a good question. And I saw that on the like tentative question. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have to think about that. I still don't have a great answer, but I will say I usually close all of my classes with like we're stretching, we're cooling down or something, and I'll say, did we learn something new today? And sometimes they're like, yeah, I guess, or oh, we did the same like combo. And I was like, did we progress on it or have some room for perfection or room for progress? And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, something to think about. I was like, are you sweaty, sleepy, hungry, stinky? And they're like, yeah, okay, all of the above. I'm like, did you show up? Did you make it here today? And they're like, yes. I'm like, good class. You may go. Clean your rooms. You may go. And we leave kind of with that morale of I showed up today. I did not even my best. I showed up and I gave 5% and it's better than staying at home. So just show up. That's all.
That's a great, see, I feel like that's great advice for people to just hear. Because, yeah, so many of us like come to pole just to have a moment in the day that is ours, right? And not every class you're going to take is going to be the best class where you hit all those, and that's all right too. I love that you're like, show up. As long as you were here, you moved your body in a way that feels good for you. Great. That's all that was required for today. Uh, Yeah, I
You
wish
didn't
more
might not have
students, yeah.
nailed the choreography, but you tried. You put your shoes on, you put your grip aid on, you got a little bead of sweat coming down, and you took a video, maybe, who knows, but you showed up and you tried. That's all we ask.
I love that. And right, like I feel some of us just need to hear that once in a while. Like it's hard going to class when you feel like that day you got nothing or it didn't go how you wanted, but that's the
Mhm.
honest truth of it. Not every class is going to be like crazy good, right? And that's all right. I just hate it when I see like student get like so discouraged. And I'm sometimes that student too. And I love when the instructor tells that back, right? You showed up today and that's what matters. Because we're all human. We all have those days, and that's all right. So I think that's an amazing way for you to always like kind of close up your classes. It's such a good remember for all of your student. Yeah.
I mean, and as instructors, like, like you're a business owner, you're a teacher. My studio runs average like 60 classes a week. I teach 5 to 6 times a week, multiple classes in a day, especially on the weekends. So sometimes I'm not always 100%, and they can tell because I'm like, we're going to play a game today. And they're like, oh, Jax is tired. Jax doesn't feel good. Mom is sleepy. Mom had a night. Mom's tired. I don't know, whatever's happening. I was like, we're going to play a game, but you know what? I showed up. So I'm still going to give you something. It's not going to be 1,000%, but then I'll also come in cracked out on coffee. And I'm like, what did you say? And they're like, oh my God, here she goes with her BX this morning and it's 10 a.m., which actually happened today. They were all like, oh my God, she's too loud. Turn the volume down. I was like, we're going to do pendulums and drops today. And they're like, oh, can you not? Can you? How much coffee have you had? I'm like, none yet. I'm brewing some. Let's go. So
You
I mean,
know a
sometimes
meme
I
that
I'm tired too.
you know a meme that some of my instructors sent me, and I was just like, it was a meme about like when you're like really tired or like not injured, but like your body's sore or whatever, and you're like, all right.
Mhm.
look at this demo because I'm gonna demo just this once. And then those are the days people are like, could you redo that? I'm really sorry. Can you do it on the other side too? And then you end up like doing it 20 times. But even as a
Yeah.
teacher, the days I'm not really feeling it, but I go to like class and I'm teaching and like the energy of the student back, right? Because it goes both ways. Like the days I'm like feeling it, I'm giving people energy. And the days that I'm like, oh, I'm kind of half-assed coming to the studio, I really also feed off the energy of the student. And then maybe that day where I'm like, I get out of the studio feeling 100 times better than I came in. So like people listening that are just like students know that it goes both way and your instructor will thank you if you're
Mhm.
like in a
It
good mood,
does.
good energy, pumping other people up, like thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's hard to pour from an empty cup, but sometimes that's the only silverware you have.
Yeah, that's a great saying. All right, Jax, I don't want to take you forever. So I think we're ready for the last segment of today. It's a segment we call the last grip. These are just kind of quick questions. You can give us as much or as little details as you want. And it's just a nice way for our viewers and our listeners to kind of get to know a little more about you on like just lighthearted questions. Are you ready for the last grip?
Ready, let's go.
Coffee or tea?
Both, but I drink a lot more coffee.
Fair enough. Favorite song to dance to right now?
I don't have a favorite song, but I'm a metalhead, so any Bad Omens, In This Moment, Sleep Token, Deftones, Motionless in White, anything on a metal playlist, I'm like, all right, I can move to this.
Okay. Do you have your a favorite pole outfit or pole accessory?
I own so many Twisted Movement bodysuits. It's unreal. I have like a dozen.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
Thanks,
think
Nadia.
I love that. Heels or barefoot?
Heels.
Mm. One word to describe your relationship with pole.
Ever growing.
That's a good one. That's the first one. Spin or static?
Spin. I'm a spinny bitch.
I don't think we've had a lot of spin people on. I feel like a lot
I
of us.
love spin.
I love that. You're
Yeah,
allowed
I
to.
like low flow. Yeah, I like low flow and like power moves for static, but if I can choose, it's a spin pole.
You are entitled to love spin. Choreo or trick?
Tricks. I do not like choreo. I do not do choreo. I freestyle every performance I've ever done. And when I do choreography for my flow classes, I make it up as I teach.
Morning practice or evening practice?
I am a morning person, but I'll practice anytime I have a chance.
Fair enough. Love or hate conditioning?
Hate to do it, love to dish it out as your coach, though.
I would agree to that. See, I
Yeah.
love it's not even being mean. I just like giving people a hard time, and I'm like, it's gonna take you far though. You gotta do it.
It goes
Um,
back to the do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, but and then right, because every studio has its own culture, and then you say like, oh, at your studio, you guys call it Terrapole, which I love it. At my studio, we are like we want to complain. So the deal is, as students, you are entitled to
Mhm.
complain, and the more you complain, the better I feel as an instructor. I'm giving everybody a hard time. I'm enjoying it. And then when I go to class as a
Yeah.
student, I will be the one complaining the most. But you gotta complain in a funny way. It can't be a like boo boo me, blah blah. No, no. You got the class has to laugh at whatever, right? And then I'll show up and like, what freaking torture are you gonna make us do today? Right? Like, and then like we're all
Yes.
just like complaining and conditioning and stuff like that. And it just makes it hilarious. And everybody at the studio kind of joins in. So we're on to something here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's how you build community. It's a trauma bonding experience together. And
Yeah.
you'll get a kick out of this. One of the tank tops, like one of the t-shirts we have, it says, if you're bitching, you're breathing. So we encourage you to exhale.
Oh my God, I'm gonna use that saying next time I teach and people are bitching. I love that. I'm
Mhm.
stealing it. I
Yeah,
love
you're
that saying.
breathing.
I'm gonna use it.
Go ahead, you can
Um,
have it.
can you tell us two or three of your favorite pollers or people that you enjoy following at the moment? Anybody we should be following?
Yeah, because I'm so old school, my favorite people when I first started were Carol Helms, Felix Kane, Alethea Austin, and Zariah Judd. And I would stop anything I would do to watch their YouTube performances. And they are the OGs, they're the trailblazers. So if you're going to show respect, you got to go back to your roots. So do your history lessons, listeners. Go back to your roots.
The last two questions are my favorite. One, what is your nemesis move?
I thought when I first started that I wanted to do a Fonji, and I realized I don't.
I like,
Not a
we
dynamic polar. I am fluid and slinky and spellbinding. I don't care to ever do a Fonji. I tried it once. I had the mechanics. I was like, ew, when am I ever going to do that? Never.
and see, I feel like Fonji is one of those moves that it's dividing the community. You either like love it and then you're like repping them, or you hate them, and that's all right too, right?
No, just not for me. I'm a slow, slinky dancer. I don't care about the flips and the jumps and the transitions and the pops. No, I'm just gonna melt over here. Y'all can have that.
And then I guess on the other side of that question, what is your favorite move? Or because I know it's hard, right? We love a lot of things. So I've been accepting this. Favorite move or favorite family of move.
There is most likely 99% chance a jade is going to be in every single one of my routines.
I love that. And it's such a showstopper move, especially. And then you'll probably agree with this because you worked in the club. And then I have some instructors here that also work in the club, right? And they're like, people don't know. People clap for a good ass shake and a good split. That is a showstopper at every routine. And the jade split is not the hardest move out there, but a good jade is so impressive.
It's beautiful. It's classic. You can usually tell when you're setting up. Once you like drop that back leg, the crowd goes wild. But yeah, if you're talking like layman's terms or something, you could be twerking on the ceiling in an Aisha, which I do often, and everyone's like, wow. And then I would do just an air walk, like any grip, walk on the air, and people lose their minds. They're like, she's walking on the air. How? And I'm like, really? I just had my feet on the ceiling. Nothing? Not a clap? Not a dollar? No. Airwalk. Mind blown.
I tell you, right? The secrets.
Whatever.
All right, Jax, I'm not going to keep you on any longer. Thank you so much for the discussion today. It was such a good one. I will put Jack's information in the caption, in the description box, as always, so you guys can follow along. Give her a follow on Instagram and have a look at the workshops. And then all the links are on your Instagram because I creep them. They're there. So easy for everybody to.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on today. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Between the Poles. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Stay connected with us on social media, and we'll see you next time right here, Between the Poles.